They also, from the very beginning, tried to cover up the origins of COVID. They wanted to say that it came from a wet market. And, when that first was said, I didn't really know, right, because maybe that was logical. And they said, well, there happens to be this Wuhan Institute right there, too. And I'm like, okay. It turns out a lot of the reasons I think they were concerned about acknowledging it came from a lab is because our own government had funded gain-of-function research. They're sending money to Wuhan and other places to do things that are very, very risky. So we know, look, it came from a lab, okay? That's where it came from. And I think we need the full accounting of the origins of that. Then you also saw experts really beclown themselves on things like when you had the BLM protests. This is late May of 2020 into early June, somewhere around there. At that point, all these experts were always attacking Florida. If you leave your house, they were saying, you're putting other people at risk. You need to stay home. You shouldn't be out doing things. I remember in Florida, they were mad that people were out for Memorial Day weekend, all this stuff. But that was with their position. You need to be inside. Well, then you have these protests. You have massive numbers of people out there. And so the question is this okay with COVID, given what you've said? And what they said was, yes, it's actually okay. That protesting, the police are doing whatever they were doing with BLM, that serves a public health function. So even though they've got hundreds or thousands of people together, that was fine. And they actually wrote a letter saying this. And in the same letter, they said, it's fine to go out and protest with BLM, but does not mean it's okay for you to protest against lockdowns or other things that you may. So, this was presumably a woke virus. But I think But I think that really took the mask off a lot of these people, because clearly it's absurd that you would take that position from a scientific perspective. And so that was really showing that this is more about them advancing an agenda and about exerting control. And that's something that's very, very dangerous. And I don't even think we've fully gotten over a lot of what's been done here 3 years later. They also, these experts resorted to, because at that time there was like no dissent allowed, basically. That they had the narrative, particularly in those first couple months. And if you had people that tried to speak out, they faced really, really significant blowback. You had people like Fauci saying we need to take down some of these other scientists like Bhattacharya from Stanford. You actually had the federal government colluding with big tech to stifle dissent when it came to COVID lockdowns, COVID masking, school closures, all those other things. And so that's really, really significant abuse of power. And yet